I just had a phenomenal day. I hope you did too. Today, we're going to be reading 2nd Nephi chapter 12, 13, maybe 14, depending on how quick I am. And Nephi has grabbed the pen back from his younger brother, Jacob, and he's quoting Isaiah again. Who can blame him? Things we have to keep in mind as we're reading Isaiah is that Isaiah, that Old Testament prophet, was chiefly focused on sharing revelation about the people of Israel and Zion, which these days we just interpret that one and the same as the people of God. So these prophecies that Isaiah shares focus mainly on the concept that Israel and Zion will have a falling away and destructions and sufferings will ensue, but that the promise of redemption is always there. That is a very common theme in Isaiah. And while it applies to a prophecy for the whole people of God, and that big collective, that nation of Zion, it's also meant to be interpreted personally for yourself, so that when you have these moments of falling away, that there is always the promise of redemption for you as well, which comes about through turning to God and trusting in Jesus Christ. So, without further ado, let's get into it. This is 2nd Nephi, chapter 12. Isaiah sees the latter-day temple, gathering of Israel, and millennial judgment and peace. The proud and wicked will be brought low at the second coming. Compare Isaiah 2, about 559 to 545 BC. The word that Isaiah, the son of Amoz, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days, when the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. And many people shall go and say, Come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob. And he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. O house of Jacob, come ye, and let us walk in the light of the Lord. Yea, come, for ye have all gone astray, every one to his wicked ways. Therefore, O Lord, thou hast forsaken thy people, the house of Jacob, because they replenished from the east, and hearken unto soothsayers like the Philistines, and they please themselves in the children of strangers. Their land also is full of silver and gold, neither is there any end to their treasures. Their land is also full of horses, neither is there any end to their chariots. Their land is also full of idols. They worship the work of their own hands, that which their own fingers have made. And the mean man boweth not down, and the great man humbleth himself not. Therefore forgive him not. O ye wicked ones, enter into the rock, and hide thee in the dust, for the fear of the Lord and the glory of his majesty shall smite thee. And it shall come to pass that the lofty looks of man shall be humbled, and the haughtiness of men shall be bowed down, and the Lord alone shall be exalted in that day. For the day of the Lord of hosts soon cometh upon all nations, yea, upon every one, yea, upon the proud and lofty, and upon every one who is lifted up, and he shall be brought low. Yea, and the day of the Lord shall come upon all the cedars of Lebanon, for they are high and lifted up, and upon all the oaks of Bashan, and upon all the high mountains, and upon all the hills, and upon all the nations which are lifted up, and upon every people, and upon every high tower, and upon every fenced wall, and upon all the ships of the sea, and upon all the ships of Tarshish, and upon all pleasant pictures. And the loftiness of man shall be bowed down, and the haughtiness of men shall be made low, and the Lord alone shall be exalted in that day. And the idols he shall utterly abolish, and they shall go into the holes of the rocks, and into the caves of the earth. For the fear of the Lord shall come upon them, and the glory of his majesty shall smite them, when he ariseth to shake terribly the earth. In that day a man shall cast his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which he hath made for himself to worship, to the moles and to the bats, to go into the clefts of the rocks, and into the tops of the ragged rocks. For the fear of the Lord shall come upon them, and the majesty of his glory shall smite them, when he ariseth to shake terribly the earth. Cease ye from man, whose breath is in his nostrils, for wherein is he to be accounted of? Before I move on, really quickly, I just want to read another verse from the top again. This is one of my favorite verses, verse 4, from anything that Isaiah has said. This is a promise of some future day that we can look forward to. That the people will beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. That's a pretty far-fetched concept, but the way that it's portrayed, the picture that's presented, the weapons and the tools being crafted into something that grows rather than something that destroys, the repurposing of our resources and our efforts and our blood into helping each other, into prospering each other. It's a beautiful concept because we have a lot of manpower and a lot of science and a lot of money being pulled into war these days. And it really is, like, ultimately, it really is a waste. Like, foundationally, it's nations protecting each other from other nations. But if we could have a period of peace, like Isaiah is promising, like the advancements that we could make and the prosperity that we could have, it'd be unmatched. And so having a picture like that to look forward to and to aim for, if everyone in the world had that kind of perspective, sometimes you just have to wonder how the world might look different. Anyways, let's move on. 2 Nephi chapter 13. Judah and Jerusalem will be punished for their disobedience. The Lord pleads for and judges his people. The daughters of Zion are cursed and tormented for their worldliness. Compare Isaiah 3, about 559 to 545 BC. For behold, the Lord of hosts, doth take away from Jerusalem and from Judah the stay and the staff, the whole staff of bread and the whole stay of water, the mighty man and the man of war, the judge and the prophet and the prudent and the ancient, the captain of 50 and the honorable man and the counselor and the cunning artificer and the eloquent orator. And I will give children unto them to be their princes, and babes shall rule over them. And the people shall be oppressed, every one by another, and every one by his neighbor. The child shall behave himself proudly against the ancient, and the base against the honorable. When a man shall take hold of his brother of the house of his father, and shall say, Thou hast clothing, be thou our ruler, and let not this ruin come under thy hand. In that day shall he swear, saying, I will not be a healer, for in my house there is neither bread nor clothing. Make me not a ruler of the people. For Jerusalem is ruined, and Judah is fallen, because their tongues and their doings have been against the Lord, to provoke the eyes of his glory. The show of their countenance doth witness against them, and doth declare their sin to be even as Sodom, and they cannot hide it. Woe unto their souls, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. Say unto the righteous that it is well with them, for they shall eat the fruit of their doings. Woe unto the wicked, for they shall perish, for the reward of their hands shall be upon them. And my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. That didn't age well. O my people, they who lead thee cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy paths. The Lord standeth up to plead, and standeth to judge the people. The Lord will enter into judgment with the ancients of his people, and the princes thereof. For ye have eaten up the vineyard, and the spoil of the poor in your houses. What mean ye? Ye beat my people to pieces, and grind the faces of the poor, saith the Lord God of hosts. Moreover, the Lord saith, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, and walk with stretched forth necks, and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet, therefore the Lord will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and the Lord will discover their secret parts. In that day the Lord will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments, and calls, and round tires like the moon, the chains and the bracelets and the mufflers, the bonnets and the ornaments of the legs, and the headbands and the tablets, and the earrings, the rings and nose jewels, the changeable suits of apparel, and the mantlets, and the wimples, and the crisping pins, the glasses, and the fine linen, the hoods, and the veils. And it shall come to pass, instead of sweet smell there shall be stink, and instead of a girdle, a rent, and instead of well-set hair, baldness, and instead of a stomacher, a girding of sackcloth, burning instead of beauty. Thy men shall fall by the sword, and thy mighty in the war, and her gates shall lament and mourn, and she shall be desolate, and shall sit upon the ground. So again, this is a lot of that doom and gloom with going astray. This is where we get to more of the positive stuff. I hope, from what I read. And in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel, only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. In that day shall the branch of the Lord be beautiful and glorious, the fruit of the earth excellent and comely to them that are escaped of Israel. And it shall come to pass, they that are left in Zion and remain in Jerusalem shall be called holy, every one that is written among the living in Jerusalem. When the Lord shall have washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion, and shall have purged the blood of Jerusalem from the midst thereof by the spirit of judgment and by the spirit of burning. And the Lord will create upon every dwelling place of Mount Zion, and upon her assemblies, a cloud and smoke by day, and the shining of a flaming fire by night, for upon all the glory of Zion shall be a defense. And there shall be a tabernacle for a shadow in the daytime from the heat, and for a place of refuge, and a covert from storm and from rain. A lot of difficult imagery and a lot of words that, frankly, I'm not super familiar with. I don't know what a crisping pin is, but apparently a woman wore it back in Isaiah's time. But a lot of very pronounced imagery in these 3 chapters. But from what I gather from them, again, I'm not extremely well educated, so I can't say that my interpretation is perfect. But this is a promise that those who remain with the Lord, like here it says that they that are left in Zion and remain in Jerusalem shall be called holy. It's that the world is going to be in a state of chaos. And in many cases, the world is kind of in a perpetual state of chaos. There's wars. Sometimes the wars are international on a global scale, like World War I, World War II. There's pestilence and plague. There was COVID-19 for a while. And there's always reason to be uncertain. There's always reason to be afraid for the future. A lot of my friends actually don't want to have kids just because they don't feel like kids belong in a world like this, that they don't want to bring more life into this kind of world, which is a really common thing that people said in the 80s when there was this common threat of a nuclear war that could potentially break out. And there's always reason to genuinely just be terrified. with the state of the world, and to be caught up in this disappointment, or this, I guess, sadness for where things seem to be heading. But from what Isaiah is saying, there is a branch in this rotten tree that is strong, that is sturdy and reliable, and that is with God. Um, it's cheesy, I know. It sounds excessively Christian. I apologize for that, but it is how I feel. That when we rely on God and do our best to follow the commandments that He's given us, that there is more peace of mind in the day to day. That trying to maintain a more long term perspective, or even an eternal perspective, if we can muster it, to believe that there is life after death, and that all will be made right with God, that He's rooting for us and cheering for us, and that He wants what's best for us, and that He can provide what's best for us. To really let those things sink into your heart, it really does change your mind about a lot of discouraging realities that exist in life. You can't just ignore them, obviously, but there are problems that you can face in your own personal life with more confidence. And for those problems that we can't control in life, that are far away across the sea, or that are much bigger than us, there's more peace that can be found in God, and in doing the best that we can in the day to day. Anyways, those are just my thoughts on those 3 chapters. I'm pretty sure Nephi continues with Isaiah for as long as he can, and we'll just go from there tomorrow. But until then, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow.